My fellow Nigerians, as your future president and as a big supporter of Peter Obi to be our next president in 2027, I totally condemn the Edo State Governor, Monday Okpebholo, for his absolutely dangerous comments a few days ago warning Obi to not visit Edo State again without his permission. What madness! Obi visited Benin City on July 7 and donated 15 million naira to a nursing school to facilitate project delivery. But recall that in April, Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia had similarly banned Obi from visiting a Catholic school under construction, a nursing school, and an IDP camp in Benue State, even after Obi repeatedly tried to contact him. First off, comments and actions like Alia and Okpebholo's are absolutely unconstitutional. Section 41 of our 1999 Constitution guarantees the freedom of movement in Nigeria for Nigerians. Obi doesn't need any governor's permission to visit their state. Speaking on Arise TV, Nana Kazore, the Obedient Movement's Director of Strategic Communications, said, and I quote, "It is a total and complete desecration of Nigeria's democracy. Okpebholo should have known better than to come out brazenly to say Obi's safety can never be guaranteed, and I'm serious about it." So you're serious about insecurity, but not about education? Not about the goodwill that a Nigerian citizen is offering people within your state? That in itself goes to show that he has no business being in that seat. End of quote. I couldn't agree more. This whole incident further proves Okpebholo's extreme incompetence. This is the very same INEC-installed governor who couldn't even read his own budget figures. Indeed, with or without context, what Okpebholo said is at best silly and incompetent governance, and at worst a desperate and deliberate attempt by him and some of his fellow APC governors like Alia to demonstrate loyalty to Tinubu, their corrupt overlord in Abuja. And yes, this gross impunity is all part of Tinubu's 2027 game plan. In fact, that's why the APC chairman in Edo State, one Jared Tenebe, in a public statement supported and doubled down, in fact, on Okpebholo's recklessness, saying it's because of, I quote, "the kind of hatred that people have for Obi in this state, including me," end of quote. Sheer evil. This is all because Obi won Edo State in 2023, and they all know he'll win again in 2027. But let me play the devil's advocate for a moment and say that Alia and Okpebholo genuinely care about Obi's security. If so, the right way to go about handling his visits to the estate in terms of security concerns will be to reach out to his team and advise him to beef up his personal security protocol when visiting any area they may deem risky. Basic public relations management will tell them that that will be a smart but also politically neutral thing to do. In fact, whenever there are security incidents in their states, some governors often quickly point out that they don't oversee security operations in their states. And they're actually right because, as we all know, they need the permission of the Inspector General of Police before they can give any orders to the Commissioner of Police posted to their state. So it's just clearly political and petty when they issue veiled or outright threats, in this case, to an opposition leader like Obi about seeking security guarantees from them when they aren't exactly in a position to do so. Also, this unfortunate and very dangerous militarization of politics by some APC state governors against the top opposition leader Peter Obi is precisely the main argument against the creation of state police. For example, a few days ago on Channels TV, late President Buhari's last chief of staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, explained Buhari's objections to state police, saying, and I quote, "If you could persuade Buhari that there will be guarantees to prevent the all-powerful governors from using state police for party or personal advantage, he may have been persuaded. But look at the state electoral commissions, for example, where the ruling party typically wins everything. It's a joke. Imagine now if they have state police to boot. The checks and balances at the state level are simply not there." End of quote. This is really sad because the concept of state police, if properly implemented, will absolutely be good for Nigerians, as it would definitely improve our security. In addition, Alia and Okpebholo's stupid comments will stifle investment in their states because they are effectively demonstrating how unwelcoming they are. Okpebholo thought he was smart to brag in that very same video clip, which he should have known would go viral, that 3 people were recently killed in the state, as if to say Obi could be the next. That alone is enough to discourage investors from going to his state. Again, they forget that each time Obi visits, apart from his charity works, he and his team may spend a night or rent out a conference or meeting room at a local hotel or have a meal or meals at a local restaurant. In other words, those visits always add value to the local economy. Thankfully, Okpebholo's comments about Obi have been widely condemned. The Nigerian Bar Association, for example, said Okpebholo overstepped his constitutional boundaries. Similarly, Bolaji Abdullahi, the interim spokesperson of the ADC coalition, said, and I quote, Okpebholo's statement declaring Obi persona non grata in Odo State is as disgraceful as it is undemocratic, end of quote. The NNPP also put out a statement to, I quote, condemn in the strongest terms possible Okpebholo's threat on Obi, end of quote. In the same vein, the Niger Delta Congress strongly condemned Okpebholo's statement and called on him to, I quote, apologize for his divisive and threatening utterances targeted at Obi, end of quote. Olumide Akpata, a former NBA president and Labour Party governorship candidate in Edo State, said, I quote, Edo people welcome visitors. We don't chase them away, much less someone like Obi who came to make a generous contribution of 15 million naira to an educational institution in our state, end of quote. Now, reacting to these and more condemnations, Okpebholo's press secretary, Fred Itua, and his commissioner for information and communication, Paul Ohonbamu, have been trying to do cleanup. They've been putting out statements and pretending on TV that Okpebholo cares about Obi's security as he's a politically exposed person, while outrightly attacking Obi and the obedient movement. If Okpebholo truly cared, why did he threaten Obi and say, if you don't inform me before you come to Edo State, whatever you get, you should take? Also, Commissioner Ohonbamu's claim that Obi's presence in Edo State led to a stampede without any proof whatsoever is nothing but a desperate attempt to justify Okpebholo's utter recklessness. In addition, the prominent senior advocate of Nigeria and human rights activist Femi Falana has advised Obi to take legal action against Okpebholo. On July 20, Falana said, and I quote, Obi should file an application to secure the enforcement of his fundamental right to life. The threat to the life of Obi issued by the new sheriff in town, Okpebholo's own words, in Edo State constitutes a violation of Section 33 of the 1999 Constitution and Article 4 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which guarantee the fundamental right of every citizen to life, end of quote. Falana added that, I quote, in view of Section 14, subsection 2b of the Constitution, which stipulates that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government, Governor Okpebholo should withdraw the threat, apologize publicly to Obi, and assure him of the safety of his life in Edo State, end of quote. Beyond such legal options, it is great that at least one civil society organization, Leadership and Accountability Initiative, has already petitioned the U.S. Embassy and the British High Commission to impose travel bans on Okpebholo and his family. I will go further and say that civil society organization or the obedient movement, should also demand for financial sanctions. Okpebholo, Alia, Tenebe, and their like should have any U.S. or British bank accounts frozen and should be banned from using U.S. payment systems like Visa and MasterCard until they withdraw their statements and publicly apologize to Obi. The Trump administration has taken similar measures in defense of democracy in Brazil and elsewhere. Peter Obi himself or the obedient movement or civil society organizations should put the pressure on and demand that they do so in Nigeria as well. The stakes are too high. May God bless and continue to protect Peter Obi, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.